Have you never wondered whether some pages of history are not entirely plausible? Nevertheless, we accepted the generally approved version and moved on, until the moment when you yourself visit the pyramids in Egypt and begin to doubt, is it really true that they were built solely by human hands with primitive technology? You are on the Top Facts channel, and today we will unveil mind-blowing secrets that have not yet become public knowledge. Enjoy watching. We were all told a simple story that is supposedly 5,000 years old, that Pharaoh Khufu built a colossal monument, the Great Pyramid of Giza, as his tomb. This story says that thousands of laborers erected it in only 20 short years, armed with nothing but primitive copper chisels and ropes, driven on by overseers' whips. But here is the problem. Practically everything we have ever known about the pyramids is not based on reliable facts. At best, our theories rest on well-reasoned guesses. And what if the true story is not merely uncertain, but deliberately hidden? At the very heart of this mystery stands a man named Zahi Hawass. He is the most powerful archaeologist in Egypt. For decades, he personally controlled every excavation, every discovery, and every ancient secret buried beneath Egypt's sands. In debates among experts, the last word always belongs to him, and most often the word is case closed. Instead of welcoming new ideas and discoveries, Dr. Hawass is sadly notorious for fiercely blocking all independent research and silencing alternative theories, especially those that threaten the official version of the pyramid's origin that he so stubbornly defends. After all, most of the information written about the pyramids was written not so long ago. I am not a conspiracy theorist, but why did Dr. Hawass struggle so actively to stop other investigations? Why did he halt them at the very moment when they stood on the brink of groundbreaking discoveries that might rewrite human history? Is he protecting Egypt's heritage, or something entirely different? Have you ever wondered whether there is more inside the pyramids than meets the eye? Believe me, you will want to keep watching, because today we will examine evidence that baffles scientists, disappoints archaeologists, and leaves historians speechless. From hidden chambers sealed for thousands of years to stonework so precise that it is hard to reproduce even today. The reality behind this monument is far more enigmatic and far older than traditional Egyptology admits. Could the Great Pyramid truly have been built with simple hand tools, as historians claim, or were lost technologies used that we still have yet to study? And if so, who exactly built it, and for what purpose? Today, we will lift the veils from this mystery, confront the guardians of history, and uncover evidence hidden from view. Because the greatest secrets of history are not lost, they are merely buried by those who prefer that you never ask questions. The answers you are about to discover may well change the world. The first question: who built it? Most of us, when we think of ancient Egypt, imagine golden tombs, intricate hieroglyphs, and the iconic Great Pyramid of Giza, which still reigns over the desert sands. For years, we have been told that this incredible structure was built approximately in the year 2550 before the Common Era. Pharaoh Khufu, wishing to have a grand tomb, began construction well in advance and employed the labor of thousands of slaves for his monumental project. At first glance, this seems an impressive example of ancient human achievement. But here is the thing. The closer you look at the pyramid, the less convincing this picture appears. No wonder there is so little evidence that would confirm this popular version of history. And it turns out that many of our assumptions are simply standing on shaky ground. Maybe we have just misunderstood who actually built the Great Pyramid and how they managed to accomplish such a feat thousands of years ago. Keep in mind this astonishing fact. Although the Great Pyramid is incredibly important as a historical object, there are no clear records from the time of Khufu that directly state he built it. It is well known that the ancient Egyptians diligently documented virtually every aspect of their lives, from ordinary daily activities to elaborate religious rituals and important state events. Yet, strangely, they left no precise record of the construction of their most remarkable monument. Archaeologists sometimes mention faint marks and symbols found deep inside hidden chambers, but they were found hundreds of years after the pyramid was first explored, which raises serious doubts about their authenticity. After all, even if someone's name appears on a structure, that does not necessarily mean that person built it. One of the most puzzling inconsistencies concerns the very purpose of the Great Pyramid. Official Egyptology consistently asserts that the pyramid was built as an elaborate tomb. But unlike every other known royal burial, the Great Pyramid contains no inscriptions praising Khufu, no decorative artifacts, no precious funerary items, and, most important, no trace of Khufu himself. If the pyramid were truly built as a royal burial, we would expect to find extensive evidence, such as treasures, artifacts, and inscriptions typical of royal tombs. Yet none of this has ever been found inside the Great Pyramid. This remarkable absence raises an important question. Could the pyramid's true purpose have been something entirely different, perhaps more complex or functional than historians traditionally suppose? An even greater mystery lies in the astonishing mathematical precision and the structural complexity of the pyramid itself. Modern architects and engineers are still astonished that the Great Pyramid is aligned true north with an accuracy of fractions of a degree. Inside the pyramid are enormous granite blocks weighing up to 80 tons each, evidence of advanced methods of grinding and drilling that seem to far exceed the achievements of ancient Egypt in that era. How do historians allow that the Egyptians could reach such a level with simple copper tools? Engineer Christopher Dunn carefully studied the granite stones, noting perfectly circular drill marks and amazingly accurate cuts that are extremely difficult, if not entirely impossible, to achieve with primitive methods. Recent attempts by modern researchers to reproduce these cuts with copper chisels failed completely. Their tools quickly became useless, and even after several days of continuous effort, the progress was minimal. This raises a second important question. If even modern technology struggles with these tasks, how did ancient Egyptians achieve such engineering and technological precision thousands of years ago? The efforts of researchers led by Dunn resulted in their penetrating about 4 millimeters into a stone block after an hour of work. Tell me, what could anyone build at that rate, even in 20 years? Another puzzling detail is found inside the tangle of passages and chambers of the pyramid. To construct such intricate interior structures, the workers would have needed reliable light sources to see clearly and orient themselves safely. Traditionally, historians assume that torches or oil lamps provided illumination. Yet, remarkably, surveys of these chambers and tunnels show no traces of soot, smoke, or scorching anywhere on the ceilings or walls. Such traces would be inevitable if traditional lighting methods had been used. This surprising absence challenges the accepted hypothesis and raises new, exciting questions. Could the pyramid builders have had access to some advanced lighting technology? Or does this hint at a completely different construction method? The original builders of the pyramid may have possessed knowledge or technologies far more advanced than those attributed to them by leading historians. Nevertheless, instead of openly considering such ideas within traditional archaeology, Dr. Zahi Hawass has resolutely defended the established historical interpretation, denying all others. Independent researchers such as Robert Bauval, who propose the theory that the pyramids are aligned precisely with the belt of Orion, have met significant resistance. Likewise, researchers Robert Schoch and John Anthony West uncovered intriguing geological evidence of extensive water erosion around the Great Sphinx. In fact, John Anthony West clearly showed that the unusual weathering patterns at the base of the Sphinx were caused by heavy rainfall and flowing water, not by wind or sand erosion, as most Egyptologists claim. One man stands immovably like a citadel between our questions and answers, Dr. Zahi Hawass, a man whose decisions have shaped not only what the public knows about ancient Egypt, but more importantly, what he knows that we do not. For decades, Hawass has dominated Egyptian archaeology as an uncompromising guardian of Egypt's ancient heritage. He held such influential positions as Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities of Egypt and Minister of Antiquities. These posts gave him unprecedented control over granting or denying permits for excavations and any research. In the end, he decides which discoveries will ever see the light of day and which will remain unspoken. Yet, behind his passionate protection of Egyptian culture lies a far darker reality. A rigid, secretive system that continually blocks anyone who attempts to challenge established historical dogmas. Officials and supporters of Hawass claim that he is merely safeguarding Egypt's priceless treasures from speculative or irresponsible theories. But could this strict regulation deliberately hide unearthed truths? It is controversial that one person can determine access to information that concerns the history of all humankind. Dr. Hawass has effectively positioned himself as the supreme custodian of Egyptian history, perhaps concealing discoveries capable of rewriting our entire understanding of the ancient world. On one hand, he has fervently promoted Egyptian culture, sharply elevating the global image of Egypt's power. But that influence may have another side of the coin. Let me know what you think in the comments below. While what lies behind the secret stone walls remains unclear, let us examine some alternative theories that traditional archaeology seems reluctant to discuss. Independent researchers have uncovered compelling evidence that challenges the official history we have always been told. Soil observations around the Sphinx reveal that the surrounding depressions display a different type of erosion, a rounded, undulating profile usually caused by rainwater from torrential downpours. Here is the riddle. When was there water in the desert? When did the Sahara Desert receive enough rainfall to cause such water erosion? The answer is astonishing. The last time this could have happened was 12,000 years ago, at the very end of the Ice Age. This exciting timeline hints that the Sphinx may have been built by a much older civilization existing long before ancient Egypt as we know it. John Anthony West developed his theory. Long before Egypt became a desert, the Giza Plateau was a fertile savanna. At its very edge stood a large outcrop of rock. An unknown group of sculptors took advantage of its prominent position and carved from the rock a gigantic face. Perhaps it was the face of a god or a lion. Maybe the Egyptians simply altered or reworked something that was already standing there, an ancient relic of a forgotten era that had lost its name and purpose. Time passed. Changing weather brought heavy rains to the area, marking the end of the Ice Age. The rains eroded the lion nearly into the shape we see today. When the rain ceased, the once fertile savanna turned into the Sahara Desert. Sand carried by the wind buried the statue up to its neck for thousands of years, hiding its body and the obvious traces of water action. Perhaps it was later recarved. Thus, the pharaohs of the Fourth Dynasty, who built the pyramids around 2500 before the Common Era, discovered the Sphinx and reworked its face to their liking. Pharaoh Khafra, who ruled at that time, did not build the Sphinx. he merely restored it. And although this explanation is supported by science and at present is the most convincing theory, Egyptologists still reject or ignore it. Surprisingly, they have provided few other persuasive explanations, leaving the enigma of the true age of the Sphinx unresolved. West's hypothesis raised many questions. In the debates, geologists took his side, while Egyptologists offered few counter-arguments to his conclusions. West's theory is truly a scholar's worst nightmare. Imagine that someone completely new appears with a carefully thought-out, well-presented, coherently described hypothesis full of data that cannot be refuted. And that knocks the ground out from under your authoritative feet. So experts simply ignore such active upstarts, hoping that time will pass and people will forget them. But they come back again and ask uncomfortable questions. So, why does the exploration of these alternative possibilities meet resistance? Is it hesitation to study Egypt's heritage, or perhaps the protection of professional reputation, academic traditions, or even national pride? If there's nothing extraordinary under the sands of Egypt, then why such strict secrecy and unwillingness to investigate? Is it possible that a forgotten advanced technology is hidden inside the pyramid? One that could radically change our understanding of ancient civilizations and challenge everything we know about humanity's past. As we delve into this mystery, the answers we uncover may prove far more astonishing and significant than we ever imagined. The mystery of who actually built the Great Pyramid becomes even more intriguing when we go inside, because what lies beneath the surface is far stranger than one might expect. Usually, we are told only about a few rooms: the King's Chamber, the Queen's Chamber, and some connecting passages. But recent discoveries have revealed something astounding. The pyramid may contain far more than historians ever supposed. Back in the early 1990s, a German engineer named Rudolf Gantenbrink made headlines when he investigated the narrow shafts inside the Queen's Chamber, which experts thought were purely symbolic and led nowhere. Using a small robot with a camera, he was able to explore these tight spaces and discovered something unusual: a mysterious limestone door at the tunnel's end that contained two copper contacts embedded in the panel. The discovery instantly spread worldwide. Metal contacts like these had never been found anywhere inside the pyramids before. They hinted that this door protected something important. But as soon as Rudolf and his team were ready to find out what lay beyond it, Egyptian authorities suddenly forbade further exploration without clear explanation. After almost 10 years of waiting, in the year 2002, a new team sponsored by National Geographic arrived. They drilled a tiny hole in the mysterious door and found another sealed limestone slab behind it. Incredibly, that second door still remains unexplored to this day. Despite repeated requests from researchers around the world, further work continues to be prohibited by Egyptian officials. This persistent resistance naturally raises the question of what truly lies behind this constant caution. Are officials genuinely concerned about preserving ancient treasures, or is there something else they prefer to keep hidden? In 2017, the intrigue deepened even further. A group of international scientists used advanced technology, muon radiography. Essentially, the method is similar to X-ray imaging, but here, cosmic rays are used to obtain pictures of the internal structure of objects. The results were stunning. They discovered a hidden void located directly above the Grand Gallery, a huge, previously unknown chamber large enough to rival all the known rooms inside the pyramid. Yet there is no visible entrance to it, and no one has the slightest idea what its purpose might be. Scientists immediately called the find one of the most significant archaeological discoveries in decades. But again, requests for deeper exploration were continually rejected by Egyptian authorities, who cited vague concerns about the pyramid's safety and preservation. Thus, the physical evidence inside the pyramid itself challenges traditional views. Researchers, including engineer Christopher Dunn, carefully documented marks and patterns that clearly indicate the builders had advanced tools. Dunn meticulously examined the granite blocks in the king's chamber, noting perfectly drilled holes and signs of precise machining that go far beyond the capabilities of simple copper chisels. Granite is one of the hardest stones on Earth. Primitive ancient tools interacting with it would quickly wear out or break completely. So how did the ancient Egyptians achieve that level thousands of years ago? Earlier we mentioned the fascinating findings of Dr. Robert Schoch concerning the Sphinx. The suggestion of its earlier origin potentially links it to a forgotten, more ancient civilization. Building on that possibility, Robert Bauval offers a remarkable theory correlating the pyramids with Orion. He noticed something unusual in the arrangement of the pyramids themselves. The three main pyramids at Giza perfectly mirror the stars of Orion's belt, but not as they appeared during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu. Their positions match exactly the constellation's layout around 10,500 before the Common Era, thousands of years earlier than traditional history accepts. This is unlikely to be mere coincidence. Orion held deep significance in ancient Egyptian culture, symbolizing the god Osiris, ruler of the afterlife, rebirth, and the eternal cycle of life and death. If Bauval's theory is correct, it may mean that the pyramid builders possessed a profound knowledge of astronomy and deliberately encoded their monuments in accordance with their knowledge of the heavens. Going further, some researchers suggest that Egypt's impressive monuments may actually be connected with a much older lost civilization that possessed technologies and skills far surpassing anything historians currently recognize as belonging to the ancient Egyptians. Beyond Dunn's study and the fair remarks concerning the efficiency of ancient tools and the mismatch of traces on granite, another factor fires the imagination. How did the Egyptians transport the enormous granite blocks to the pyramid construction site? Recall that some of these massive stones weigh up to 80 tons each, and their quarry of origin lay more than 500 meters from the Giza Plateau. Historians have not provided a convincing explanation of how ancient people could move such blocks over those vast distances, especially without wheels or advanced machinery. Even today, the transportation of stones of that size and weight would present an extraordinary logistical challenge, requiring heavy equipment, specialized vehicles, and extensive planning. This significant gap in the traditional narrative raises the obvious question: how exactly could the ancient builders achieve what is still incredibly difficult even for modern engineers? Graham Hancock, a British writer and journalist, developed a theory of an advanced civilization that was lost because of a destructive global catastrophe or gradual decline. He points to the remarkable monument of Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, known as the oldest temple in the world. The impressive complex, which is about 12,000 years old, serves quite well as evidence for the existence of a vanished civilization. Hancock suggests that the complex knowledge possessed by these ancient people was not completely lost. Rather, surviving fragments somehow reached the early Egyptians. Researchers John Anthony West and Dr. Robert Schoch share this view, suggesting that the Egyptians did not develop their incredible architectural, astronomical, and mathematical abilities spontaneously and in a single moment. Instead, they propose that these advanced abilities were inherited from a much older civilization. That would explain why ancient Egyptian culture appears to emerge suddenly, fully formed and advanced, rather than gradually evolving from something more primitive over time. Although mainstream Egyptology usually dismisses these theories as improbable or even impossible, more and more evidence is appearing, and ignoring it is becoming increasingly difficult. Consider, for example, the mysterious Temple of Osiris, also known as the Osirian, at Abydos. Built from massive granite blocks, this structure displays the same highest precision and craftsmanship we have seen inside the Great Pyramid. These skills, supposedly, were not available to early Egyptians. Similarly, the massive granite boxes in the Serapeum of Saqqara are polished as smoothly as can be achieved today only by the most modern grinding machines. What can be said of Bronze Age tools? Is it possible that traditional archaeology has overlooked or deliberately ignored evidence pointing to a more ancient, highly developed civilization that is actually behind Egypt's most iconic monuments? After everything we have explored, we obtain the following facts. The puzzling absence of inscriptions linking Pharaoh Khufu with the Great Pyramid. Incredibly precise stonework, too complex for simple tools. Sealed chambers, and evidence hinting at a far older origin of the pyramids. We are forced to doubt the official version of history that we have always been taught. These thrilling discoveries suggest that the pyramid builders probably possessed knowledge and technologies far more advanced than traditional history credits them with. Perhaps the ancient Egyptians knew more than we think, and their advanced technologies were simply lost over time. Or perhaps these monuments were built by an earlier civilization whose skills were passed on or adapted by the Egyptians later. But if these ideas are so intriguing, why does traditional archaeology still hesitate to explore them fully? One reason is that acknowledging the existence of an older, advanced civilization might mean a radical change to the history we currently accept. Historians, archaeologists, and even entire countries have built their identity and reputation around the traditional chronology. Rewriting history books, rearranging museum exhibits, and rethinking deeply rooted ideas is not easy. Not everyone wants to rebuild the foundation of their house to suit modernity, do they? For Egypt, admitting that its famous pyramids might predate their known civilization, or be creations that are not Egyptian, touches delicate issues of national pride and identity. And who would give up the awareness of one's own uniqueness? By resisting deeper exploration of hidden chambers, ancient technologies, and alternative historical explanations, traditional archaeology may deliberately keep important truths buried beneath the desert sands. Imagine if we found clear evidence of an advanced civilization beneath the Egyptian desert. What then? Everyone would have to rewrite and relearn the history of the world. And here we must ask ourselves, will archaeologists finally open those sealed doors and investigate the secrets of the Great Pyramid? Or will they remain locked, waiting for future generations bold enough to seek the truth without regard for politics or prestige? Let me know what you think about this and share what you know. Perhaps you have interesting information on the Egyptian question. That is how our episode turned out. If you liked it and want to see a next part or something similar, write about it in the comments and give a like. Subscribe to our channel, and very soon a new episode on another fascinating topic will be released. In the meantime, watch one of our previous videos that have already appeared on your screen.